How do you communicate with a man that does not take ownership?
I think that there are a couple full aspects to this. One of them is the idea of just assuming good intentions of your partner. If there is somebody that you feel is worthy of being with and that is worth your time, then we owe each other the benefit of the doubt. If my wife is in a hurry and leaves dishes in the sink, I can come home and see that and be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe she didn't do this. Like, what a jerk. Or I could be like, man, she must have been in a big hurry and just didn't have time. Like, let me get that taken care of, right? Like, two different perspectives, the exact same scenario, but because I know the character of my wife, I give her the benefit of the doubt every single time and try to assume good intentions in her. However, if I'm with somebody that I can't assume those good intentions with, then I just shouldn't be with them in the first place. And so I don't know if that fully answers your question, but and a lot of it just kind of comes to knowing the communication style of your significant other or who you're trying to communicate with, and trying to come with it at a conversational tone as opposed to an accusatory tone. As hey, I feel like when this happened, this is what you said was going to happen, but this is how I perceive that it happened. As opposed to, you said you were going to do this and you didn't, and then it's like, oh, I didn't know. That's when, as guys, we start scratching our head and start making dumb excuses because we're not real quick on our feet all the time.
If I see someone who's not holding their end of the line in any situation where it's like a team-based scenario, I don't accuse them of it, because I think everyone by default is doing the very best that they can, given their knowledge, given their dedication, etc. Right? Everyone's maxed out, and in order to elevate somebody else who's on my team, what I'm going to do is, if they're not holding up their end of the line, I'm going to go up and I'll say, hey, this guy's struggling a little bit. Let me go help him out. So I'll go up and like, hey man, can I help you out with this? I'm going to take ownership, a little bit of your ownership, and just lead by example with no ill will, with no trying to prove a point, just trying to help him out. And I think that by doing that, I think men inspire each other, and we bring each other up. So it's kind of like about supporting the other person. Now, in the container of a relationship or in a dating scenario, how would a woman communicate with a man that does not take ownership? I think answer would be slightly different. Men are very motivated when you know how to motivate them. You have to know what a man values, and then reward them at every little instance that they're doing the behavior that you want. And this sounds very like, B.F. Skinner, classical conditioning, but it actually works. Like, let's say you want a man to clean the dishes, and he's never done that before. And you talked about it and he says, yeah, I'll do it. But then every time he, after that conversation, the very next day he didn't clean the dishes. You kind of, hey, yell at him, or you whatever, you admonish him and you say, hey, why didn't you clean the dishes? We just talked about this yesterday, all this stuff. He's not going to hear the positive feedback. All he's going to hear is just negative feedback coming at him. If instead you actually have to, what it is you have to create space and have a lot of patience. And let's say he always just doesn't clean any of the dishes, and the next day he cleans one dish, but there's still all the other dishes in there. It is better for you to compliment him and reward him for cleaning that one dish and say, wow, thanks so much for cleaning that dish. It sounds silly, but guess what? He doesn't have the capacity to just clean all those dishes the very next day. We can't really just change how we are from one day to another. But if you reward that one little push in the positive direction, and he gets, oh, wow, like I'm getting rewarded for doing one good thing. Well, I guess next time he's probably going to clean 3 dishes, and you reward that. And then the next time, and by the time you know it, you keep doing that. And, within a month or two, I mean, it does take a while, but for some people, but you can get very far by rewarding very small acts in a positive direction. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's super powerful. Random acts of kindness, being able to recognize little things that your man does, even if that means it's something very minute. Is that a word? Minute?
Yeah.
Okay. Even if it's something very minute,